Never throw away your confidence. Keep moving forward. Obedience is powerful. It is the key to the impossible. Welcome to Move Forward. I'm your host, Dr. Kim Maas. Today, I'm coming to you from Studio B, and I have with me a very special friend and a very special guest, Ruth Cube Keijdener. She is an itinerant speaker, a worship leader, apostle, founder of the Beautiful, Powerful Women Ministries. She is a breakthrough prophetic coach. She organizes Christian events, mission trips. She travels the world. She produces film and song, and she's a doctor of optometry. Her core values are love God, partner with him to be the solution, enjoy life. She walks into a room and love gets spread and joy explodes and hope arises because of the Jesus that she carries. She is a woman of faith because of Jesus, and she believes that he is perfect and faithful and trustworthy. Her passion is to empower people to walk in freedom, whether they're in government, business, entertainment, and family spheres. You can find out more about Ruth at ruthcubekijdener.com. You can find Beautiful, Powerful Women on Facebook and Instagram. And you can find her books, The Power of Obedience, and her newest book, Hope Arise, at Amazon and everywhere books are sold. Ruth, my friend, thank you for joining me. I'm so honored to have you here with me on Move Forward.
I would just rather have a pajama party with you, my beautiful friend. Thank you so much for having me here. I am really honestly honored more than anything. Thank you so much. I'm excited.
I'm so glad. We have a lot to talk about, and I want to get started right away because you have two books. The first book is the one I'm really interested in talking about the most because I think obedience is on the heart of God right now. And I don't think that even you and I are both prophetic, and we both love the prophetic, and we both operate in prophecy and teach about it. But you can't really hear the word of God and then not be obedient to see anything prophetic come to pass, you know? And I know the thing I love about you the most, and the thing that I think God is really interested in right now for all of his people is that he wants to do the impossible, but without obedience, we can't do the impossible. So you just got home from a huge trip in Asia.
Yeah.
How did that go?
16 days of mission. Love, a transformative love. Before I gave one of my kidney to my husband in December, 6 months before that, God told me, you're going to start going out again. And I'm like, what? I didn't even know whether, this kidney is going to work out or not. But God was saying, yeah, you have to. So I asked God which countries. So he said to me, I was thinking, oh, maybe Thailand and Philippines, but God says Philippines and in Korea. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do that. So I started talking to the people that I know in the Philippines and in Korea, and God was very specific to me, telling me that it's gonna be government, the elites, the frontliners, the education, and all those things just happened as soon as I touched them every single day. My gosh. Just the revelation of God is never ending, and it's always fresh every single day. Oh, that was amazing.
Well, I think that's a good place to start talking about your book, because your book about obedience is really the story of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is the story of the impossible. When I first met you, I mean, if you don't know Dr. Ruth, she's this tiny little thing. You meet her and she's this tiny little thing, and she's so full of joy, and she's always smiling. You would think that there was never a hard day in her life, but let me tell you, as you just found out, she just gave a kidney to her husband. That doesn't happen for no reason, and but you are one of those people, when you start listening to your stories, that you really have seen the impossible. I mean, and so many of us, right? The leaders that we know, that you and I both know, they see the impossible, but you really started with absolutely nothing, like nothing. And then God did something. And that's actually the title of your book, From Nothing to Something, The Power of Obedience. So tell me, why did you write this book? tell me how it got started, and why did you name it from the power of obedience?
Well, I think I have to go and let you know first that I love God so much that I know that my only response to Him is to obey. His love for me is the treasure I found, that I'm willing to give up anything to Him, because early in my life, I realized I'm nothing or have nothing without Him. So His love language with me and my love language with Him is obedience. He says, "Who is it that love me? Those that obeys me." And so I love Him so much. I want to do that. Obedience is the only response I could give Him that will cost me something, and I want to give Him my all. I feel as I obey Him, I show Him my greatest honor. He alone deserves that in my life. I have trust towards my Father, believing His plans are best for me. So obeying Him is actually good for me. I don't want to waste time. Obedience is better than sacrifice, right? So I don't want to waste my time. So I'd rather go and obey Him. So since I live and breathe obedience, when He asked me to write the book, I also had to obey that.
Right.
He was telling me you have to go and write the story of my life, and it was one of the hardest, I feel, because it was like me coming out, and this time it's really just me. And it is a powerful obedience for me, because I never really have exposed myself that much. And so, yeah, obeying is just a second nature.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I got the book right here because you gave me a copy and you signed it for me. Thank you, dear friend. And so tell me what you were like before your first miracle. I mean, how did you come to the place where you really could believe for something so big as some of the things you believe for? Like tell me about your childhood. Tell me about how this all began.
Yeah. Well, my childhood was very, very frantic. Ever since I was 5, I had nightmares. I would live in fear until I was 16. So if it wasn't nightmares and demonic things that I see, it would be the hyper activity in our home, or just, or then it started to become like fear of peer pressure and all that. So by the time I was 16, I was just tired. I was tired. I wanted to give up. And we've gone through so many things. I mean, my dad was seeking the Lord, so we've gone through, like, all different faiths. And the only time that I've really felt like I slept in the evening when I was 16, and I woke up in the morning when I knelt down and I said, God, if you're really real, because I've met so many Jesus and I've met so many gods, but I really don't know. And so when I was 16, I said, if you're real, then you come into my life. That was the very first time I slept through in the evening. I woke up in the morning with peace. So because
Mm.
of that, he would, I started worshiping, Kim. I would be playing my piano in the middle of the night, and God will bring me to multi-dimensional places and spaces. And I wanted so much to give him my all, that anything, I said to him, anything, or you're anything you want me to do, let me know. So my life is completely dedicated to the Lord from then on.
So when was the first time you remember believing for something really big? How did that come about? And then, because you talk about in your book, a lifestyle of obedience, but
Yeah.
you had to learn that somehow.
Yeah. Ever since I was young, when I was 18, I started going out already on mission trips. So I would see miracle signs and wonders. No, actually, I was not 18 yet. I think I was around almost 17. I started going out with young adults, and we would go to places where there's no lights, there's no toilets. I would just go to the bush, and I would see the power of the Lord. Just when we come to a place, it's clean, but it was like infested with so much, and we'll just worship, and that thing's gonna clean up. So I've seen miracle signs and wonders through that. And knowing that, knowing knowing that, my heart starts to feel the freedom that I never felt before, knowing the identity is being formed inside of me, and having a place where I feel I am loved and seen. Wow, that was it for me. And for me, that was the main deal. That was the main miracle. And I know I can go beyond this life. I've decided I'm on this in this world, but I'm not of the world. I that's my husband would say to me, Tiger, I can't really, win with you. I mean, I can't talk to you normally. I said, I can't. I'm supernatural. So I was, and then of course, because I see a lot of things in the supernatural. So I didn't even know that prophetic is the word. I didn't even know that
Yeah.
that was the word prophetic. But I would see things beyond me, beyond now. And so I'm like, I would just go and talk to people and see things that not a lot of people would see. And then when I worship, I go to seven heavens. I don't know why. I didn't even know at that time. I'm like, oh, they missed it again. Lord, they missed it again. So it's like, I really felt like I was weird. I love it.
I think we have to be weird to do supernatural stuff, right? I mean, we have to be, well, at least we have to be willing. I mean, it's not weird like just for the sake of being weird, right? But different uh than 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 some people who really haven't yet experienced the supernatural and then really give themselves to whatever God wants to do, right?
You know what? When you were saying to me, how did it become like a lifestyle?
Yeah.
I believe because of my love relationship with God, I just hear
Yeah.
Him so clear. And when He says to me, "Okay, do this," I do it. If He
Right.
says, whether I would say, I don't have that fear of, oh, maybe that's not God. I just know it's God. The thing is, am I gonna go and do it or not, right? But I
Right.
know I love Him so much, and in intimacy, honestly, is the only thing I could say in equal to obedience, is because when you hear Him, you just know it's Him. And if you do it, if you don't do it, you there's a repercussion, not only for you but for the people around you. And so, I mean, that
Mhm.
has been like, when God tells me something, I know it's impossible. I just know it's impossible. Like, God tells me, okay, book this, book, bring the politicians to me. I'm like, okay, I haven't lived in the Philippines for 27 years. Who are the politicians there? I don't even know who they are. But then, what I'm going to do is I'm going to book a hotel that
Yeah.
has a leeway just in case the president comes. I'll book that. I'll book the best. And I book with the food. I'll do all the shebang because I'm excellent in the name of Jesus. And so I do that without knowing who's going to come. I don't know anybody. I don't know anything. But then I know the voice of the Lord. And so I'm going to follow Him, and then He will provide for it. I'll be unstoppable now. When He gives me this vision, I'll be unstoppable. Oh, okay. You're not in line next. Thank you very much. Bye. And then I go and until until the point where, Lord, you said I don't see anybody here. And then all of a sudden, even the president I get to meet. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
just need to, I don't know. I just love God so much. I hear Him. I dream with Him all the time because I don't want to waste my time. And then I obey.
So okay, so tell us what are the biggest lessons you learned about walking a life of faith? Tell me what are the things, cuz um how do people, I guess what I'm getting at is that there are a lot of pastors and leaders that watch this. You are a pastor and a leader. You
Yeah.
have been for many years, and you walk with a lot of the major leaders in the world.
Yeah.
And we live a life by faith, but
Mm.
we each have learned unique lessons. And so if we have someone watching and they have, let's say they've heard the word of the
Yeah.
Lord about something they know is impossible and it's scaring them to death, and
Hmm.
they don't know how to begin. How do we begin to walk this life of obedience and see the impossible come to pass?
I feel, with all my heart, we need to understand that obedience is actually an opportunity and a privilege.
Mm.
to have a life not wasted, because when you obey, when you obey, then you know that the purpose that God wants for you in this earth is actually being done. Also, obedience makes you courageous and unstoppable. Knowing and trusting the Lord is your backer, right? Just what I said a while ago, that He is the one who sent you. You just know you cannot be denied. But at the same time, He has a purpose for you, and you alone can do that. But also, I learned that if I don't obey, that purpose is still going to be done. You don't want to go and give that to someone else. I also learned how to stay pure in the oppositions. A lot of times people don't want to obey because they got already scarred that people don't believe them, people, mock them, people tell them mean things, right? I also learned how to do I learned how to stay pure in those oppositions. I learned that not a lot of people can dream impossible dreams like you, and it's okay. And when they get to be mean, you can be offended, but God gives us power and grace to love even more, even if sometimes you don't want to. But because you're obedient, you just know that your heart can always be pure and always be forgiving. I learned that, favors are immeasurable with obedience. And, at the end of the day, when you love God, you just cannot deny his voice. And the only way possible that you'll have the joy of adventures with the Lord every day is when you know that you're hearing him. You yield a little bit more and really clarify it that it's really him, because you don't want to do something that is not his, because after 2 weeks you don't want to do anymore because it's hard. It's hard. When you hear the Lord and you know that it's impossible. I always say this, Kim. When I go to the Lord, I'm a 5-year old. But when I have projects bigger than Godzilla, I would turn into two. I would God, 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 every time. So I feel,
Yeah.
I encourage you. Don't. I understand it's scary. I understand that you're probably wrong about what you're feeling, but there's no, think about this. He's gonna clean up your mess if it wasn't him. But you better go, and you would rather obey and try that, and rather than miss it.
How
I
do you
would
stay? How have you stayed? How do you continue to encourage yourself? I mean, I know some of the things that you've been through,
yeah.
and they're hard, but you are the most upbeat, joyful person. You stay encouraged. How is it that you stay encouraged when the opposition comes? Because when we attempt to do the impossible, we both know, you step out, you're starting to take a risk, and like all hell breaks loose against you. And sometimes it comes from the closest people, right? Sometimes it comes from the people around you that you thought, love you, were your friends, were on board, and then they turn right, and it's painful. How have you stayed encouraged? How do you encourage yourself, Ruth?
I cry a lot, Kim. I go to my room. I cry a lot. I cry. I cry to the Lord. Daddy God, can you just hug me, please? Daddy God, can you just take this pain away? Daddy God, I choose. I choose to love them. I choose to bless them. I choose to forgive. I want you to remove anything inside my heart that is not yours. I don't want any space in my heart that is not you. You know, because pain can take your space instead of the joy of the Lord. Anger can take your space, or offense can take the space in you instead of the love of God. I don't. So I literally just tell that to God. God, I want you to go remove it. I can't remove it. I want you to remove. I allow you to remove. Please, please remove it. So every time, I think that constant surrender, constant forgiveness, constant. If there's, I would just say it like, oh God, if there's anything else in my heart that is not right, oh my God, I don't want that, because I want to live in that place where I am authentic towards the Lord. You see, I do a lot of inner healing, and a lot of times we push aside, or we press everything that is, oh yeah, I already forgave them because I'm a Christian. No, you're a Christian, but you're also a human being that feels. And so you have to be so real and
It's
authentic.
good.
You just say, God, I'm really hurt. That person is really mean. I really want to crush his head like this. But you know what, God, I choose to forgive him now because that was, but it's just between me and the Lord. No gossip, no someone else. It's just me and God. Because by the time I pour out everything, I'm like, I'm this is really mean and all that. But I said, but now I choose to forgive because I poured it out already. He can take it away from me now. And then I would just say, okay, I choose to forgive. Now I need you to give me more love for him. So I can go and
Amen.
bless. I can go live in a place where I know that I'm free. And then every time the devil will bring that person back to me, I'll just, oh, thank you for reminding me. I bless him. I bless her. I bless her. I bless. I speak it out. I speak it out.
It's good. So
Yeah.
good. All right. Well, we have just 2 minutes left.
Okay.
But I would like to know from you, because I ask all my guests this because I think it's important, because you're all prophetic. What are you seeing for this time that we're in right now? What are you seeing coming up? How should we be prepared for what is coming?
Um, I I would there are three things I think, or maybe I just because we don't have a lot of time. I would want to talk about three things: our intimacy, our mindset. No, four things: our position and our posture. Our intimacy, we as humans, right? We get easily fascinated and excited with new things to the point where our focus and identity goes to what God has given us, which are talents, our giftings, right? And how fruitful we are, so successful in the eyes of the people, and how good we are doing, seeing the new blueprints being built right before our eyes. The problem is that becomes our focus instead of our intimacy with Him. Without Him, we are dry and unproductive, right?
Hmm.
And the second one is our mindset. Division, judgment, and all forms of insecurities jeopardizes the powerful gifts and blueprints within us. So we need to have our mind set on His love, His truth, and navigate things through His word. And then our position is a child of the living God, King of all kings. That makes you powerful and full of authority, representing Daddy God, the King. With this positioning, you know where you stand when opposition comes your way in confidence and in humility. And then, our posture, always in wonder, always in awe, ready to burst in worship, eyes fully fastened in His goodness and our hearts full of His consuming fire. Um, I would, um, there has been there's something that I wrote in here. the time the the new thing is within us, not around us. This is prophetically speaking now, okay? The new thing is within us, not around us. New blueprints within us are about to be discovered and built through revelation in our intimacy. So God is awakening us all. So not just the youngsters, but the old, the young, and everybody. He wants our full attention all the time. And He wants our minds living in the spirit and in worship. And I feel like there is a transitional move of God. There is a transitional move God is doing right now. It's almost like David to Solomon, Elijah to Elisha, Moses to
Hmm.
Joshua, passing the baton. So new generals of faith are rising up. This requires going back to the simplicity of loving Him with all our hearts, with all our minds, with all our soul and strength. We're being given new assignments with double portion of creativity and wisdom. So loving God gives us humility and clarity how to move in obedience and trust. And then, we need to have a regular stop for a while moment, especially for us leaders, right? We need to have that stop for a while moment, even if we are in the middle of the vision that has given you and me. We have to recalibrate in the midst, because there is a possibility that he might want you to stop now. There's a possibility that he might want you to go and give it back to him.
Mhm.
And there's a possibility that you have to continue. But he will remind you, he wants our identity not in what we are doing, but in who he is. And then, discipleship now is different. It's not like the churches before, right? Okay, let's all sit down. Let's read John. No, now he's call now for leaders like us. We are calling forth the identity and purpose of a person to get it, to let them rise up on who they are, and equip them where they're at with the word, with love, companionship, ready to face the world daily in authority to rule their world. And I feel like we have an era of truth, not opinions, which, this era of truth and not opinions is very important. We always have this opinions, but it doesn't bring any freedom. Truth is the only thing that brings us freedom. So those are things that, I felt like.
Oh, so good. Yeah, I totally agree, Ruth. Well, I'm going to give you 30 seconds, 30. Just say a blessing over everyone, and then we have to get going.
Ta-da! Okay. Well, you know what? I speak hunger and thirst for Jesus for everyone. Whoa. I pray, God, let us all be stripped off of anything that takes your place and space in our hearts and in our minds. Whoa. Let our hearts be so exposed in your light that we get to see your riches in us more than the dead ends around us. I pray that you continue to be so consumed by your love. They get so transformed by it that obeying you will never be hard, because you're worthy of our trust and glorious praise. Let all the sacrifices we give and do for you be exchanged with transformative desires to love and obey you instead. Thank you, Lord, for your mercy and your kindness. Thank you for delighting in us. And thank you for Kim Maas Ministries that goes around the world. Whoa.
Oh, thank you, Ruth. Thank you, friend, for being on. I'm so honored that you would come and be on this show with me. I love you so much. And let's talk and catch up very, very soon. Well, that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for being with us right here on Move Forward, Dr. Kim Maas. I will see you again next Wednesday and every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Bless you. And remember, never throw away your confidence. Keep moving forward.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Let us know how it impacted you. Send your feedback, testimony, prayer request, or ask Dr. Kim a question for a future episode to hello@kimmaas.com. When you give to Kim Maas Ministries, you are making an investment in revival that is happening all over the globe. To find out how to give, text the word GIVE to 1-833-921-9313. Or to find out more about Dr. Kim and receive exclusive content, text the word FORWARD to receive her newsletter. Dr. Kim has several resources to help you move forward. Connect with us at kimmaas.com and join us next week on Move Forward with Dr. Kim Maas.